Ashwell, how much of what happened today was bad batting? How much was good bowling? And how much was the pitch?
Yeah, look, I think before we look at the pitch, we have to give credit to the Indian bowlers. Siraj probably bowled one of the spells of his life. Having said that, you know, obviously Dino chopped on one down the leg side, but apart from that, I think it's probably one of his best spells of his life. If you combine that, two quality bowlers, obviously with new ball in hand, and the conditions, favourable conditions, two quality bowlers, and of course you add it all up together, and that's what you get. The one thing I'd say is that I've obviously played a lot of cricket on this ground, also been a coach here. I've never seen the pitch be that quick on day one. Usually speeds up on day two. So it started quite quick. And I don't think as batters you mind the pace in the wicket, but then you need the bounce sort of to be consistent. The bounce was a little bit inconsistent, I think. Some keeping low, some bouncing quite steep. And I think if you add that, I think also the sea movement, you don't mind on day one, you expect a bit of sea movement. But if you have the sea movement with consistent bounce, then it's a different situation.
For those? Ashwell, I don't know if you remember the 2011 test.
Of course I do, from you.
No, I mean the pitch on the day. Would you compare this to that surface in any way?
No, I think it's completely different. That was mid-game when all of that started happening. That wasn't on day one. Shane Watson bowled a fantastic spell, and then Vernon Philander on debut landed the ball in the right place, and it was difficult to explain. I wouldn't say that on that occasion the surface was doing things that I'd never seen. Some of the things I've seen today, I've never seen at Newlands before. So, you know, the balls were pitched up deliveries, and the amount of balls that both keepers took above their head was quite extensive. Now, you know, I remember playing in the UK a few years back, and particularly at Nottingham, and the locals saying when some construction took place, you know, it changed the characteristics of the ground. I don't know whether that has played a role here. I haven't been at a Newlands, well, I've never seen a Newlands pitch play like this. Obviously there's a lot of construction taking place here, and whether that is affecting how the surface is playing, I don't know.
So would you go as far as to calling it a bad pitch, or a pitch that concerns you about Test cricket?
Well, you know, you got to ask yourself, how do you rate the pitch? If one team obviously can get bowled out, that can happen. I remember also another Test match in India, us arriving there, and India had quite a formidable batting lineup, and us bowling them out before lunch on day one. So if you give a top quality bowling lineup, Steyn, Morkel, can't remember the rest of the lineup on that day. Similarly here, you give a quality bowling lineup, bowler friendly conditions, and they can do some serious damage. And I think to sum things up, if both lineups can't bat on the surface, that says a lot.
So here?
Ashwell, you know, you have a mantra in the dressing room of like not wanting to say that there's a ball with your name on it. Like, you know, that's you try and coach like that. But do you think this wicket is one like that there is a ball with your name on it, and you actually got to be a lot more positive when you go out there and try and score?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a type of surface where we've seen enough inconsistency that something can happen. And I suppose, you know, different individuals will take a different approach. Everyone will take an approach that suits them. Some might be, it might be like a license to go out and play more positively. Others might say, well, if it is a ball with my name on it, then produce that ball. Let's see it. Obviously, we've seen it a few times today.
Neil?
Ash, it's a great effort to bowl a team out for 150, and I know you have to be careful about criticising bowlers as the batting coach, But there were like a dozen half volleys early on, which were driven for four. I mean, they could have been bowled out for 70 or 80 as well if South Africa got it right.
Yeah, I think it can be tough for a bowling lineup after your team has been bowled out for a low score. I think the tendency, particularly for swing bowlers, is to always look for swing. And if you can get the ball to swing, and obviously the surface is doing quite a bit as well. So somebody like Nandre, for instance, if he's able to get swing and then it seems the other way, it makes it almost an unplayable delivery. So you can understand that somebody who's a swing bowler goes up there searching for the swing, and you want the ball to nip in a different direction.
Yeah, all said and done, Coach. India 153 for 4, KL Rahul and Kohli batting. Do you think we're surprised that India folded up 153 straight from 4 to 6?
No. Look, I think, obviously from our point of view, we recognize the opportunity once you get to a certain stage in the batting lineup. And, you know, that opportunity presented itself, and so there was a few good catches. And, you know, it's the type of surface where opportunities are there all the time. So it's not a surprise. I mean, if you're playing on a different surface, you know that opportunities are hard to come by. So it doesn't surprise me how frequent opportunities are presenting itself to take a wicket.
Ash, Newlands this season domestically has shown that first session can be very difficult to play in both one-day cricket and the red ball stuff. Given that, you know, India struggled in Centurion, was there any thought given to, you know, send them in and maybe scratch away at some of those mental scars?
Yeah, look, I mean, if we had to arrive here today with some overcast conditions, then perhaps yes, but you arrive here, blue skies, yes, there's a bit of tinge on the surface. I don't think our batters across South Africa are ever bothered when there's a bit of grass on the pitch, as long as the bounce is consistent and the movement is consistent. Also, if you look at the selection of the team, obviously Temba not available. I think the tendency, or there could have been a tendency to go extra safe and add another batsman to the lineup to play safe. But obviously we want to go for the win. We're still here for the win, so we needed to have the balance right in terms of the bowlers who we think can take the 20 wickets. The nature of Newlands traditionally is to have spin later on in the game. So I don't think that anyone could foresee how much movement and pace there was in the surface on day one. And like I say, you don't mind the pace as long as it's consistent.
Ashwell, good evening. I know a day like this is an outlier for so many reasons. We were chatting about the stats and everything, that 23 wickets in a day is a proper outlier. But what kind of message does a day of Test cricket send in the form of message, considering the conversations that have been taking place with the composition of the team that's going to New Zealand?
Look, I think one thing I can say is that Shooks is quite adamant from the head coach point of view while we were up in Pretoria that, you know, whatever we get when we arrive here, it will be what it is. So certainly from Shooks' point of view, there's been no instruction that we want X, Y, Z. We come here, we know what we get. Usually at Newlands, if we hypothetically ordered something different, I don't think we would have selected one less batsman and then choose to bat. So we just expected a usual Newland surface. I think our selection reflects that, and of course winning the toss and batting first also reflects that. So you know, we got what we got. Certainly, I'm sure the local board would have liked the game to go 5 days, make a bit of cash. But it is what it is. You know, cricket is a funny game. You arrive and that's the surface and you got to go and play. It's the same for both teams.
Cool.
I've
We're
got
going
a-
to take the last two questions. Go ahead.
I've got a question. I'm just reading the tweet from Sachin Tendulkar in a form of a question. Cricket 24 begins with 23 wickets in a day. When I was boarding a flight, South Africa were all out. Now when I come back, I see 3 wickets down. How would you respond to Sachin Tendulkar's tweet, this particular thing?
Yeah, we've had 1 or 2 pitches in India where a lot of wickets fell in a day as well. So that's the only thing I'm prepared to say.
Zahir, to conclude us?
Ash, the way you played Test cricket was fairly hard, and the way you batted. You've seen Dean end his Test career today, and Tristan Stubbs make his debut, who obviously formed his reputation in the shortest format. Do you feel that the game is moving towards not having those type of batters of Yaw and Alger's mold going forward in Test cricket?
I think, what we speak a lot about is players being true to themselves and being the best version of themselves. And if a player has got attacking instincts, we certainly don't want to take that out of them. When we say things like being the best version of yourself, different players are at different ages. With saying that, we're also saying that there's always room for improvement. There's always room for some areas of your game that can improve. So while some guys are more attacking, they probably can improve in some areas. While certain players might be better against spin, they might be able to improve against fast bowling, seam bowling, or vice versa. So we want players to be true to themselves, to go out there and do the things that got them up to this level. But having said that, Test cricket is hard, and there's always room for growth.